It's important to make proper cuts because of compartmentalization. Trees don't heal the way people do. They compartmentalize. That means if there's an injured or dead area, they block it off from the rest of the tree. When cuts are made properly, this area is relatively small. When improper cuts are made, this area increases and can be detrimental to the health of the tree. I recently cut down this eucalyptus tree that was topped before. You can see that the inside is rotting out. This produces a sickly tree that will break easily during a storm. You won't be topping trees yourself, but this is a good thing to know when you're hiring a professional. This is why you don't want to top a tree. As you can see, this tree was topped right here before. Instead of having one main strong branch, these three sucker branches sprouted out. These sucker branches are weaker than the original branch, and it's going to produce more sail on the tree. The tree is going to be thicker. They're not going to get as much sunlight to the inside. It's overall just a bad thing to do, so you want to avoid it as much as possible. So now you've successfully trimmed a bunch of smaller trees around your yard, but you have a couple bigger ones that you can't handle and you need to call a professional. You can either get someone out of the phone book, or it's even better to get a referral from one of your neighbors. When you call them, here's a few things to ask for. 1. Do they have a contractor's license? 2. Are they certified? 3. Are they insured? And 4. How much experience do they have in your area? Experience is probably the most important factor. There's a few things you want to consider when you're planting trees. For instance, this Ficus benjamina is fine right now as it is, and if they keep it small, they're not going to have any problems. But these trees are notorious for the root systems which tear up cement and concrete work. If you want a tree like this to grow up into a big tree, you need to plant it somewhere where it's got lots of room to grow. These rubber tree roots are growing under this walkway and pushing it up. The roots from this tree are actually ruining this whole deck area, and they're going to have it redone. This was a nice, cute little rubber tree when they planted it 25 years ago. But when they planted it, they should have considered what the root system was going to do. They should have either kept the roots cut, planted another tree, or given the tree more room to grow by planting it somewhere else. On baby trees, like this avocado, it's important to leave these little branches on the trunk until the tree is well established, because they feed it and guarantee it'll be healthy. Pruning knives are used for stripping palm trees. There's usually a clearly defined line that goes all the way around the tree for each shuck. You do this about every inch all the way up. You can see how much nicer this makes your tree look. Once you start getting into the pink shucks, that's when you need to stop. This also works for bird of paradise. You need to make sure you have a sharpening stone with you, because you want your blade extremely sharp. When you're trimming your trees, you need to respect the wildlife. This bird's nest is empty, but some birds' nests holds the eggs or the chicks of endangered species. You can get in big trouble for ruining their homes, so you need to be careful. It's important to keep your trees away from the roof. During high winds and storms, they can brush against the roof and cause damage both to the roof and the tree. This bird of paradise is also a freeway for rats. The people have been hearing the rats run around the roof at night, and this is how they get up there, by the bird of paradise. When I was working at this particular house about 7 or 8 years ago, I was trimming one of these birds of paradise, working over my head from a ladder, and a rat jumped out, ran down my head and my back, and took off. I screamed, and the lady thought that I'd fallen off the ladder, but I hadn't. It was only a rat running down my back. So, you want to keep your trees clean so you don't have rats' nests, and you want to keep them away from the roof. When you're working around your house, you have to be careful of different obstacles. Here we have some pool equipment we have to be careful that we don't smash. There you go. This trash can is covering some delicate flowers. It's important to keep your tools sharp. With these bypass pruners, you use a flat file and only sharpen the outside edge of the blade. This ensures a good, clean cut. You can keep your pruners lubricated with oil. When When trimming your trees, it's important to recognize your limits. Professionals use all the modern tools and safety equipment when tackling big jobs. What may be a very difficult and dangerous job for you could be a simple task for a trained arborist. Leave it to him. Chainsaws are excellent pieces of equipment for cutting through branches quickly, but they can also cut through your arm or your leg or other parts of your body quickly also, so you need to be very careful when working with them. The most important thing to do is remember not to use the tip. When you're using the tip of the chainsaw, you're in danger of having the saw kick back and hit you in the arm or face or wherever. What you want to do is use this part of the saw. Keep both hands on the chainsaw at all times. Here's a few tips about maintaining your chainsaw. Chainsaws use a gas-oil mix. It's best to use super unleaded gas without alcohol, like you find at a Chevron or a 76 station. You can use any kind of motor oil to lubricate the bar, but chainsaw bar oil is best because it sticks to the bar better. I like to poke a little hole in the seal to control the oil flow. The easiest way to sharpen a chain is to use a hand file. Find the appropriate size and follow the contour of the tooth. When you finish, the tooth face should shine, and having a tiny burr come off the top is a good sign it's sharp. If the top of the tooth is rounded and scarred from hitting rocks or cement, you should take it to the sharpening shop. The chain should be snug to the bar, but roll easily with one hand. Remember to wear gloves while doing this. It is also important to clean your air filter regularly to keep your saw running smoothly. I use an air tank, but you can use water. But be careful not to put the filter back in the saw wet and get water in the engine. It's a good idea to keep your chainsaw clean, but the sap from some trees and plants, like palms and yuccas, will actually eat the metal, and you should clean your saw thoroughly immediately after cutting these. To get rid of your debris, you can either put it in a trash can or put it in bundles for the trash man to take away, or you can load it up in your truck. If you do that, you need to have it tarped down really good so nothing flies off. The Highway Patrol is also going to want to see your license plate and your lights. If there's more debris than you can handle, you can have someone haul it away or chip it. Tree trimming is an art. If you're sensitive to its needs, the tree will actually determine how it should be trimmed, and you will just follow its lead. You want to work with the tree and not against it. When you start on your first tree, take your time. Think about what you're doing. Reflect on the principles taught in this video, and you can create a masterpiece.
First thing in this morning, Lord, my thoughts they come to you. Directed at your wonder, the glory, the ways that surround you. When I look across the valley, the open plain,